For years, the Marvel Cinematic Universe felt, well, pretty much invincible, right? But after Avengers Endgame, something shifted. The magic just kind of faded. And now, a pretty sharp fan critique is asking a really tough question. Has Marvel completely lost its way? And is their big plan to fix it a stroke of genius or just an act of pure desperation? So, this quote, this is really what kicks the whole thing off. A longtime fan, someone who grew up with this stuff, watches a teaser for a new Avengers movie and feels absolutely nothing but disappointment. I mean, that's not just a critique, it's a total gut punch. And it perfectly captures how a lot of people are feeling about where the franchise is headed.
Okay, so how in the world did we get to this point? To really get a handle on this frustration, we're going to trace the whole journey. We'll start with Marvel's Golden Age. Then we'll look at the big decline after Endgame. We'll check out the nostalgic solution Marvel's offering, then dig right into the core criticism of that plan, and finally we have to ask the big one. Is this franchise just completely out of ideas?
To really understand the anger people are feeling now, you have to remember the love. This whole critique kicks off by reminding us of the glory days, an empire built on a formula that for about a decade seemed absolutely 100% flawless. From Iron Man all the way back in 2008 to Endgame in 2019, Marvel built this incredible ecosystem, as the critique calls it. Every single movie was a piece of a bigger puzzle, right? It created this universe so connected that you felt like you had to see everything, even the movies about characters you didn't really care about. And that's where the psychology of it all comes in. The argument here is that Marvel didn't just have fans, they kind of trapped us. You weren't just going to see a movie, you were taking part in this massive, global, cultural event, and being loyal to it was like a badge of honor. So what was the glue holding this whole universe together? Simple. The characters. We basically grew up with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. We argued with our friends about their choices, we celebrated their wins, and we felt their losses. That emotional connection, that was everything. But then Endgame happened. The absolute peak. And according to this critique, everything that came after was just a catastrophic fall from grace. All that fan goodwill they built up, it seems like it just evaporated in a couple of short years.
I mean, just look at this. The difference is, it's night and day, really. On one side, you've got the Golden Age, fanatical loyalty, total box office dominance, a clear vision. And on the other side, the decline. Confused fans, major creative mistakes, and content that, in this view, just felt preachy and totally forgettable. And when you dig into the specifics, wow, they do not hold back. The source points to weird decisions made with characters we loved, Disney Plus shows with really heavy-handed messages, and films that are, well, to put it bluntly, called abject dog shit. And the result? A decade of fan loyalty was just squandered, leading to some shocking box office failures for a brand that once seemed untouchable. Okay, so let's set the scene. The franchise is stumbling, fans are checking out. Marvel needs a plan to win them back. And the solution they landed on? Well, let's just say this critique sees it as deeply cynical. So what's the play here? The whole thing feels broken. Do you bring in some fresh, visionary talent? Do you dig deep into the comics for something new? Do you, innovate? Well, according to this fan, Marvel did none of the above. Nope. Instead, their answer was, and I'm quoting directly here, to start digging through the cemetery. The plan? Bring back the very same heroes whose stories we all thought had ended perfectly. I mean, just take the idea of Chris Evans coming back as Captain America. The critique argues this isn't some bold new story, it's a panic move. They saw that we, the audience, weren't buying into the new heroes, so they just decided to hit the big undo button on one of the saga's most powerful, perfect endings. And this, right here, this is the absolute core of the entire argument. This nostalgia play isn't being seen as some clever, creative choice. No, it's seen as a giant flashing sign of desperation and creative bankruptcy. Okay, so the argument basically breaks down into three huge fatal flaws. First, it shows zero conviction. You're undoing these perfect emotional character goodbyes. Second, it disrespects what came before. I mean, it completely cheapens huge moments like Tony Stark's sacrifice. And third, it's a massive red flag that says Marvel has just given up on creating anything new that can stand on its own 2 feet. And get this, think about that wild rumor about Robert Downey Jr. coming back, not as Iron Man, but as Doctor Doom. The reaction to that is just, yeah, it's this fear that an iconic, beautiful line like, "I love you 3000, could get twisted into something ugly, just a hollow echo of something we once cherished.
And this is a really, really important point to understand in this whole critique. The argument isn't that fans hate change or can't adapt to new things. The perspective here is that fans are asking for old characters to come back because, in their view, the new stuff just hasn't been good enough to earn their investment. So, all of this, it all points to one kind of sobering question that really wraps up the whole critique. Is this a sign that one of the most successful franchises in history has finally, officially run out of steam? This source uses this perfect metaphor for Marvel's strategy, jangling the keys, like you do with a baby. The argument is that Marvel isn't trying to tell a compelling new story. They're just jangling familiar, shiny faces in front of us, hoping the distraction will be enough to get us to buy a ticket. So from this point of view, this isn't some big creative comeback. It's just a business deal, plain and simple. They're throwing money at the old stars to come back and basically put on the same show that fans have already been avoiding for years, ignoring all the storytelling they did in the meantime.
See that number? 7. That's roughly how many years of storytelling, we're talking movies, TV shows, the whole deal, that this critique says are basically being tossed in the trash to bring the old guard back. Almost 7 years of world building, all for nothing.
Yeah, there's really no sugarcoating the final verdict here. From this viewpoint, this strategy isn't a heroic comeback for the franchise. It's just pathetic. It's seen as a sad admission of failure. And at the end of the day, this whole critique really feels like it comes from a place of loss. It's that sound of a fan who once deeply loved this universe, now just watching what they see as a desperate, sad attempt to recapture a magic that's been gone for a long, long time. And that really leaves us with the big question, for Marvel and for any huge franchise, really. Is relying on nostalgia a brilliant way to remind fans why they fell in love with your story in the first place, or is it just a trap, one that dooms you to repeat the past and prevents you from ever creating something new and just as worthy of our attention?